came out of last night?
Yeah, the only one, Sebastian Joseph Day banged his knee up a little bit, Lindsay, but I don't expect it to affect his game status. But we'll monitor him. We'll see how he checks out when we come back on Wednesday. He might be a guy that will hold out of practice, but don't expect that to affect his game status for the Colts game.
And when you look at your run game, what did you see on film? And this week, would you maybe anticipate to use a little bit Sony Michel a little more?
You know what? I would say I have confidence in Sony, but the way that Daryl was running kind of the flow of the game, like we talked about, Lindsay, Daryl's definitely established himself as our starting back. I thought he did a great job. I thought he got stronger as the game went, but Sony's a guy that's had production in this league. It was just a weird deal, the way that the game kind of unfolded that. And that's why I always say that to you guys. And yesterday was reflective of exactly that. We had planned to get Sony in the game a little bit earlier, but just based on the minimal amount of snaps that we had, some for, a lot of it for good reasons because we were scoring quickly, but then we ended up having the 3 and out at the end of the first half. So you'd like to be able to sustain more drives and then maybe you'll see him get some more opportunities. But again, that's always kind of based on how the flow of the game goes. But I thought Daryl did a really good job and I was pleased with the way that he closed it out. And I thought our offensive line really did a nice job of finishing it out. To be able to sustain the drive, have some of the third down conversions that we did was really encouraging. But you can expect to see a little bit more of Sony. But if a game unfolds like that, I think we'd take a similar approach.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Jordan.
Hey, Sean, just was wondering if you could, now that you've gone back and probably watched it a couple of times, would you be able to maybe even further than you did the other night, break down Van Jefferson's touchdown catch, what is supposed to happen on the play, what you saw from the defense, what you saw Van do, what you saw Matthew do, and then the same with Cooper Kupp, if it's not too much trouble?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, you look at it, Van was basically running kind of a corner post type of route. He did a great job. Jalen Johnson's one of the better corners in this league. I thought he played really well as a rookie, and he had Eddie Jackson over the top of him in a half field safety contour. He leaned him, was able to break across the leverage. And then we had Robert Woods on the backside, kind of be able to hold the backside. It was a 2 safety defense. He kind of occupied Tashawn Gibson on the backside of it. And then, really you look at Cooper Kupp securing the edge with Robert Quinn coming off of our left, the defense's right side. He kind of collapsed that edge, and Matthew's ability to be able to, kind of half roll out of there and then just to be able to flip his hips and get that ball up and down accurately. And then I thought the awareness by Van to be able to get up, finish that play, that's the way you want to start, and to be able to have that on the third play of the drive, that was what we had hoped for right there. It was definitely a difficult look, and our guys made it come to life, and was very pleased with the result of that play for sure.
With the Cooper Kupp one in particular, it's kind of a weird question, but what's the history of that play in terms of seeing that coverage, that look that I know you've seen a lot in the past, maybe not a lot, but a couple times in the past, and then figuring out a way to navigate it correctly?
You're going to have to start asking me these questions one-on-one. These are some deep scheme questions that you're getting into, Jordan. I would say this, that's probably a better served question for us to have as a one-on-one. But it's one of those deals that these guys did a good job. They were in another split safety contour, kind of a quarter half deal. And, and Cooper was able to get over the top of the defense, and Matthew did a great job. And I thought our protection was really good in that instance as well.
Thanks.
Kevin.
Trying to get me to reveal too much information, Jordan.
I won't be guilty of that. I was wondering what the challenges are for a coach and a team coming off such a feel-good win. Everybody, you and players were talking about finding the imperfections and improving on them. I wondered if there are any lessons from your first couple of games as Rams coach back in 2017.
Yeah, well, I think, go back to 17, we didn't show up and play well, and I didn't do a good enough job for us in the second game after we had a good opener against the Colts. But I think, Kevin, it goes back to a lot of the things that you've heard me say. I have total trust in the team. I have trust in the leadership on the team, this coaching staff. And I think we're all self-aware enough to know that, hey, you got to produce. You enjoy it, but it's time to move on. And we're at this point, once I really wrap up this press conference with you guys, it is on to the Colts. And you got to produce every single week. What you did the previous week has no bearing on what occurs the following week. And I think our guys understand the importance of the really good teams. They continue to improve throughout the season. The margin for error is so slim. There's a lot of things that we can correct. There was a lot of good stuff too. And I think our guys understand, hey, let's make sure that we can continually repeat the good stuff. Let's learn from the things that we didn't do as well. And let's continue to positively push one another with our preparation on the field, off the field, so that it leads to another process during the week that leads to, a chance of playing as well as you'd like to, as you build from week 1 to week 2. But I know that there's a lot of respect for the Colts. They've done a lot of really good things each of the last couple of years. And the last thing I'm worried about is our team, having any sort of lull. If anything, I think the urgency is picked up, knowing that, hey, guys were happy about the win, but I don't think that I have to worry about complacency setting in with this group because of that leadership that I've kind of continuously mentioned.
Claudia.
Hey, Sean, your defense played well most of the game. What did you like about Jalen Ramsey role, and what would you like to see improve?
Yeah, I loved his energy, Claudia. I thought he was outstanding. I really think, within the first 20 snaps, our defense had, in essence, what equates to 3 turnovers. When you look at the pick by David Long off of the tip from Kenny, then you look at the 4th down stop by Jalen on Robinson on the little quick game, and then you look at the forced fumble by Justin Hollins that was recovered by Kenny Young. So I thought they did a great job. I thought Jalen's energy throughout, both with his production at the outside corner, playing at the star position. He was physical. He was violent. He had great play energy. And, it was a really good performance to be able to build on. And for our defense to be able to hold up, they had four 4th down stops. They had the 1 turnover on the 3rd down in the red area. In my mind, and one of those turnovers occurred on 4th down. So you're looking at the stats. It says 2 turnovers to none. But really, when you add in, you have 4 total 4th down stops and then the 1 red zone turnover. You look at it like they're in essence getting 5 turnovers, and I thought they played really well. I think there's some things that we can do just at the point of attack of finishing guys sooner, but overall to prevent the explosives, with the exception of a couple plays that David Montgomery's a good running back. Got a lot of respect for him and what he did. They had some good schemes, and we'll be able to tighten that up. And but overall, really pleased with the defense. I thought Raheem, the defensive coaches, and our players ultimately did a great job, and was happy with that start.
Thank you, Sean.
You're welcome.
Gary.
Hey, Sean. Cooper was kind of echoing, I think, what you were trying to explain earlier in the week about receivers not necessarily having just certain routes that they can run and be known for. Do you feel like in this game with Van going long and Cooper getting a deep shot that you were able to kind of establish that?
Yes, that was an important thing. I think kind of like you and I've talked about, Gary, we've got a lot of guys that have been here that, and it starts with being able to give our players the opportunity. And, that's the one thing that if I'm looking at myself critically, I haven't always done that. But, Cooper, Van, Robert, these are guys that are not limited. Higbee makes a big play down the field yesterday. We all know what Deshaun's done throughout the course of his career. And we've got a handful of guys that we feel like can activate all parts of the field in the pass game, whether that be creating after the catch on underneath stuff, making plays in the intermediate game, and then definitely being able to stretch the top shelf of the coverage. And the fact that we can do that with any of our skill players is something that I think makes you more difficult to defend. And that's absolutely what I thought was key for us last night, and that we need to continue to illustrate as we progress and move forward as the season goes on.
You mentioned David Montgomery and kind of the performance he had. Are you concerned at all? I know it's only one game, but from a Rams fan perspective, are you concerned at all about the ability to stop the run?
No, I think there was some, I think you give credit to the Bears. I thought they did a nice job. They're a good football team. I thought they had some good plans, but I think we can tighten up the execution. And I also think when you look at yourself critically as a coach, you say, okay, balancing, not really getting a chance to have those guys play full tackle football. You can never really simulate that in a practice type of setting. And you say, all right, well, have you really put your players in a position to be sharp as they could be in regards to some of those things that, that they had some success with last night. And I think that falls on me. I think we'll see improvement moving on from week 1 to week 2, but that's something that we'll definitely have some urgency addressing, but I don't sense that's anything for us to worry about, but it will definitely go addressed, and it'll be something that we'll try to be intentional about making sure that it's a point of emphasis for us as we move forward.
Just as a very quick follow on that, does it in any way make you rethink how you might do the preseason and training camp next season in terms of having, guys fully ready at that particular point for the opener?
Yeah, let me think about it. Hell no. No, I would say this. It's something that you always do balance, all kidding aside, Gary, but it's so important in my mind for us to try to be healthy and ready to go and do everything that we can in that form or fashion. And I think what I'd really look into is, are there ways of safely implementing tackling types of teaching progressions or activity that could maybe have you, more ready, if you will, to simulate that game-like action. But I don't think that the risk reward would be worth it. But I know that approach isn't for everybody. And I think there's a lot of people that would disagree with me on that, but that's what I think is best. And that's what I'll always try to do is make decisions that are best for our football team. And that's kind of the approach that I think we'll continue to take, but you never know.
Jordan?
Hey, Sean, I think we asked you about like Andrew Whitworth a lot and your center situation in the last several months, but what did you see from Rob Havenstein yesterday?
He was awesome. Rob is such a steady, consistent player. He's got a great game day demeanor. He's tough. He does all those little things the right way. I think he's quietly been one of our more productive players since I've been here, and he's somebody that we really lean on. I thought he really competed well, being matched up against Khalil Mack the majority of the night, knowing what a premier player he is. And you could see he had tremendous respect for Khalil, but he had a plan. He was physical. He did a great job finishing. I thought he was productive in both phases. And, his athleticism shows up for a big guy. And then obviously once he gets his feet in the ground and he could get great removal. But I thought Havenstein was outstanding. I think he really, you watch the connection that he and Whitworth have, Jordan. Andrew has really been such a steadying presence. But when Andrew was missing last year, I thought Rob really asserted himself as the leader of that group. And now Andrew's still there as the leader of that group. But Rob has also really continued to just really assert himself. And I love Rob Havenstein, and he is a tremendously valuable player to us.
Stu?
Hey, Sean, for Brian Allen, that last night was really the most significant action I think he's seen probably since 2019, late 2019, given what he's been through over the last year plus. Just what did you make of his performance starting at center?
Man, I loved it, Stu. And he's another guy, you talk about great stories that just make you so happy for guys. You look at the way that he has consistently just demonstrated a resilient mindset and mentality as he's recovered from what was a really tough knee injury against Pittsburgh a handful of years ago or a couple years ago. And he just had belief. He just continued to grind at it. He played really well. He got a game ball, but I just think his rapport with Matthew, his competitiveness, his physicality, and then also his poise and calm demeanor as he's getting the calls communicated and recognizing a variety of things where we didn't really have an inventory, didn't know what to expect. I thought he was great, Stu. He's only going to get better, but he got a game ball for us yesterday. And he's one of those feel-good stories that you love so much about working with people like him. And I want to continue to see him do what he's done and build off of that. But really pleased with Brian, really happy for him.
And then we'll wrap it up with Gary.
Hey, Sean, just looking around the league, week one, just curious what your impressions were about some of the results and specifically the NFC West with all of the teams winning their openers.
Yeah, I think you always take the first week with a grain of salt because there's a lot of football left to be played. But I think probably like we all expected, those other three teams did a great job. Our division went 4-0. It was. I wouldn't say that you're surprised, but the week one results are always, they're always so interesting. Just when you think you know something, there's always a result that kind of makes you scratch your head. And then that team probably will come back and respond the way that you expect them to if it didn't go the right way in week one. So not surprised by the success of San Fran, Seattle, or Arizona, just because of the familiarity and the respect that we have for those guys. But I'd be lying if I said I really did a deep dive into their film. I kind of am watching those scores and got a chance to watch a little bit, but I was more focused on our game. And when we were kicking off, I kind of was watching and you have them on in the background, but you're more like, golly, just hurry up and wait yesterday to get that game going. So definitely was interesting and feels good just to have football back, especially with fans. That stadium was rocking last night, wasn't it? I mean, that was fun.
Coach, we appreciate it.